It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the divided kingdom, maybe a little CYC talk, and celebrating, instead of Good Samaritan Day on March the 13th, we're just going to celebrate Good Samaritan week, month, year, decade, century, lifetime. Just as long as we're rolling, let's be a Good Samaritan. And we'll talk all about all that good stuff right after this important message. Hey friends, we've got something really special to share with you today, a brand new children's book that's all about faith, family, and finding joy in the middle of life's challenges. It's called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joy Rider. This heartwarming story follows a big brother in a wheelchair who uses his creativity, courage, and a whole lot of love to help his little brother and cousin overcome life's obstacles. Together they show us that joy isn't about what you have, it's about how you choose to face the ups and downs of life. This book is full of fun, adventure, and hope. It's perfect for bedtime stories, Sunday school libraries, or as a meaningful gift for the kids in your life. Plus, it's a great way to start conversations with your family about resilience, compassion, and faith. Pre-orders are open now, and when you order early, you'll be one of the first to get your hands on this inspiring story. Just head over to benandtravis.com/books. That's benandtravis.com/books and pre-order your copy today. Give your kids a story that will make them smile, laugh, and believe in the power of joy. I'm the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ in Dothan, Alabama, Travis Creasy. That over there is all-pro counselor with Three Chord Counseling at Marcel Bible School, and also the pulpit minister at Highland Park Church of Christ. And in his spare time, an all-around epic dude, Ben Hayes. How's it going?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm not feeling so epic right now because I'm just tired. Yeah. I was about this close to just turning it in and going to sleep, and then I realized we still had a podcast to record.
Yeah, and we're going to make it quick either way because I'm in the same boat. But, here we are. Content is king, they say. But I think Jesus is king of content.
It's true.
Everything else too. So we're certainly going to get to that. But Ben, we haven't really talked much about CYC. It was great. I guess the biggest thing about CYC, as far as the Ben and Travis realm, is that we announced that there is going to be a third installment, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise, of the adventures of Ben and Travis. And this is going to be of the divided kingdom, which is going to tackle a difficult topic, and we've certainly not shied away from them. I think this comes at a perfect time. People know what they're getting from the adventures of Ben and Travis. We're not really here to rock the boat so much as to help kids and really adults too. And so this one is going to deal with the emotions and feelings that kids can certainly feel and is often associated with divorce, but also at other things in life. And, we've certainly, I think, accomplished the goal of, touching the base of several things in each book, but maybe having that central theme.
Yeah. So the first one we kind of tackled worry is, anxiety and worry. In the second one, we looked at anger and kind of frustration and finding joy even in difficult times through Bradley's circumstances. And of course, this one is going to, these are all things that we faced in real life, as kids. Maybe we have embellished, I think is the word Lonnie uses on his podcast. We embellished the truth a little. I have kids going, did that actually happen? Did that actually happen? It's like, well, maybe not all the specifics, but, I was afraid of roller coasters and did have some anxiety growing up. We did have Bradley in our lives. And so, he's helped us overcome a lot of things. And then this one certainly is true as well. Your family went through the divorce, and you guys had to deal with a lot of emotions that come along. And so, in this one, we're tackling the aftermath of that. And some of that is loneliness. Some of that is jealousy. Some of that is just kind of feeling some self-doubt and those sorts of things. And so we're going to really sort of in the fantasy world of the divided kingdom, maybe some knights, some dragons, some different kinds of characters than maybe we've seen in some of the other books, and maybe some things that we've sort of given a few little nods to early on in some of the books, but mainly just handling some of those emotions. And that's what we've tried to do, is handle that mental health aspect, open that door just a little bit for kids and for families and for teachers and youth ministers and whoever else that may want to read those books, to kind of open up the conversation a little bit more, for kids to sort of be able to learn ways of managing and handling. Of course, in the back of each of the books, we have a little note to teachers, parents, youth workers that hopefully can help you further the discussion after, a little fun read that tackles some of those topics.
Yeah, this checks a lot of boxes for me. I remember at a fairly young age thinking, I want to help kids deal with some of the things that I've been through once I get old enough. I won't say mature enough, because that's probably still out of range a good bit, but old enough to do something about it. Of course, you and I both worked in youth ministry. We still work with a lot of kids, and certainly you can do that. And we've had some tremendous people support. We've got some people that have been on every thank you page because they've supported that level. Of course, we have the supporter level pre-order that you're going to get the book autographed for $20. That does not include shipping, but you can choose to pick it up in the Shoals or Dothan or CYC next year. That's a $5 discount from the normal $25 price. We have the sponsorship level, which I think is 60 or 65, depending on if it's shipped or not. And you get your choice. You get an autographed copy. You get your choice of a Ben and Travis t-shirt or a copy of Reframing Hope, Whitney and I's book. And then, of course, there's the producer level, which gets your name in the book on the thank you page. You get your choice of a t-shirt or the Reframing Hope book. And you also get the audio version of the book, which we still have to record for the Joyrider, by the way. And you get a discount on Jacob Hennigan's art. So several levels. You can check out all those at benandtravis.com/books. It's got every book we've ever put out, including the one Whitney and I did. So you can get a look at all those things. But I say all that to think of others. And that's really what these things are, although it's really cool to get to be, comic book characters and Saturday morning cartoons. Ultimately, we want to help folks. And so, as I mentioned in the intro, March 13th is Good Samaritan Day, which, if you're unfamiliar with the story, is all about loving your neighbor, helping your neighbor, even in spite of maybe cultural differences or in spite of the evidence to why you shouldn't. Of course, that's the story of the gospel. Jesus has all the evidence to have nothing to do with any of us. And yet he made the ultimate act of kindness, of sacrificial love for all of mankind.
Yeah, and I'd just be curious to see how people celebrate the Good Samaritan Day. And I think we've got some ideas that we think would be phenomenal ideas, things that you might could do. But I know our listeners are super creative. You listen to this, as you listen to this, it is helping, healing, and humor. And I don't think you come to this page because you don't know how to do those things. I think most of you listen to this because that kind of piques your interest and you enjoy those sorts of things. So I would challenge you guys to give us some ideas in the comments on Facebook and different places where you find some of our content. Let us know what you think. But, there's a lot of different ways that I've seen people be good Samaritans through the years. You certainly, I've talked about one of my favorite passages is Titus 3:14. Our people must learn to engage in good deeds and meet pressing needs so that they won't be unfruitful. And so my biggest thing for Good Samaritan Day is look for it. I think most of the time, if we look for ways to serve, we'll find them. It's kind of like what we talk about with a lot of things. Whatever you look for, that's what you're going to see. And so if you're looking for ways to serve people, I'm pretty sure you're going to find them, whether that is, somebody needs a little help. It might be car trouble. It might be, somebody that's having some health issues and maybe they need a meal fixed for them. Maybe it's somebody that just needs a visit. So, when you think about that day, or as you said, the week or the month or the year or the decade, or the century or whatever, as you think about those times in your life, what are some things that you can see around you in the immediate needs of those in your community, in your school, in your workplace, whatever? I think that would be my number one, thing for us to remember, is be on the lookout for something to do, because those pressing needs are really where the Good Samaritan shined in the story.
And it takes it doesn't take a lot of time. I know that we may feel like it has to be some grand thing, and so often it takes very little time. A lot of times it could just be a smile. It might be a little note to just acknowledge. We used to do at Riverside. You're busted. I busted you doing something kind, and it was a little badge or something that you handed off to somebody. And I think it starts with just showing up and not making things worse. And I think of social media and how tempted I am to comment on people's posts that I don't agree with. And I try to ask myself, have I been kind enough to this person that they're going to be open to taking my comment in the right manner?
Yeah.
And if not, don't say anything. And sometimes that's the kindest thing you can do, right? If you can't say anything kind, don't say anything at all. And then kind of going from there, and then going, okay, I don't want to cause any harm, but how can I make the situation better?
Yeah.
And what's necessary? I'm currently taking a course at Heritage Christian Morals and Ethics, and the big question from the book that I'm reading for that class is, what does love require? And so in every ethical situation, and some of those are very, very heavy,
yeah,
he always asks the question, what does love require? Because as a Christian, that is the ethical
driving force.
What does love require in this situation? And I think that's a great question. I'm sure that Jesus always was the answer to. And it wasn't that Jesus didn't say difficult things, but I think generally speaking, it came across in the right manner because he was kind. Even in body language, sometimes we can be kind. And so, you talk a lot of times about relaxation, and maybe we need to relax our face or something. I don't know.
Well, and you mentioned the story of the Good Samaritan, and I think kind of what you were just saying goes along with this is, one of the very simple thoughts that go along with that story is, Jesus was a person of compassion, and there were so many times that he felt compassion. It tells us about that as he watched the people. They were like sheep without a shepherd. He felt compassion for them. But with the Good Samaritan, it went beyond just a feeling. Yeah. It was, they saw the need. He stopped, he helped, he sacrificed his time, he sacrificed his money, he sacrificed having to walk himself when he put him on his own, donkey or animal to take him to the house. So there's all sorts of things that we can take from that. But the main thing is, it was more than just a feeling. It was an action that went along with it. And so I think all of us have felt it before, like, man, I feel for those people. I want something great. And like James said, you can say, be warmed and filled, but you're not really doing anything if you don't put something into action. And so I would just really encourage you guys this week to look for it, look for the things, because you're going to find them, have the heart to want to do something about it, and then really actually do something about it. And it, like you said, it doesn't have to be much. I don't have to buy them a, $200, gift card, I can just go buy them one meal or go, do something kind for them to help them out. And I think that's just such a huge thing. And that can be as simple as encouraging somebody. Just, man, how many times, Travis, does it help us as ministers just to hear an encouraging word or two from people?
It makes all the difference in the world, right? And we're not going and looking for compliments, and we certainly shouldn't be doing the things that we do for compliments. But man, when somebody says a kind word, man, it's just like anything. And maybe the challenge is on March 13th, and you've got a couple of days to strategize as this comes out a few days. That maybe for a couple of hours on the hour, you're going to send a text or communicate some affection or appreciation to someone. It can be, like I said, Ben mentioned being creative. Now, this actual podcast comes out on, I think it's Mario Day, and it's March 10.
Yep.
And so there are a lot of video games out there that do not make me want to feel kind. In fact, I rage quit quite a few of them. Or in the day and age where it saves and it doesn't just destroy your game like it was when we first were kids. You just start over. And maybe your start over is, hey, let's just start that day over. Maybe you haven't been kind this morning when you heard this, but let's hit the reset button and start the game over. Ben, yesterday being Sunday, I preached on 2 Corinthians 6, 4, 5, and 6. And in there, he talks about a ministry of reconciliation. And I think sometimes we want a ministry of anything but reconciliation. But Paul talks about suffering to keep the obstacles out of the way, so that they would have a clear path to Jesus. And one of those ways is to be kind. And I think the Samaritan, the guy who was hurt and got helped, I bet he wasn't lecturing the Samaritan on all the ways that he was in the wrong. And I'm sure the Good Samaritan, from what's recorded and stories told, was not lecturing the guy in the ditch on all the things he did wrong. What'd you do to get here? Blah, 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 blah. Right? We're not talking about how we say, love them enough not to leave them there, as in their difficult situation, because there are times for that. But kindness, I would say 99.9% of the time, should always come first.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the great thing that bridges us together. I think there's just so many heartwarming stories out there where, like you said, people who maybe didn't deserve to be treated well, maybe didn't earn being treated well, maybe, they were very different from each other all the way around. But when you see this story that resonates kindness, you all of a sudden see people from different backgrounds, from different ethnicities, from different even religious viewpoints, showing that kindness across the board. And I've sat down with in other countries, I've sat down with Muslims who invited me to sit and drink tea with them, and I've sat with people who have very different beliefs than me, and we've had very cordial and kind conversations and good goodwill between us. And so it starts with that mindset of, I'm going to be kind and I'm going to try to treat people with as much kindness, and that just tends to bring people together. And so I hope that's something that each one of us can put into our lives, like you said, not just one day, but maybe every day.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing about video game, when we were growing up, now you can get online and be really mean online. Maybe that would be a fun little thing. Get online and be super complimentary
nice
to people. They would probably hate that. It'd definitely be coals of fire on their head, but nonetheless, maybe that'd be fun. But I mentioned rage quitting video games. Ben, you ever have that experience? The one that comes to mind for me, and I can't remember specifics, but I know that you had a Sega Genesis at one point. I did as well. And I think you had the Jurassic Park game, and that game was impossible.
It was impossible. It was phenomenal, but it was impossible. And what was so crazy about that game was you could play from either side. You could play as the the human being chased by the dinosaurs, or you could play as the dinosaurs, and that was what made it so cool. But yes, it was pretty difficult.
I never got killed by anything large. It was always the little bitty yippy things,
Oh
little
yeah,
dinosaurs. Tore
yeah,
me up.
yeah, the little compies or whatever that they're called. What was crazy is like I feel like all of Sega's games were that way though.
Yeah.
Because you had that one, and then you had I had one called Echo, I think Echo the Dolphin or something.
Man, I was about to bring that up, and there was nothing. Like I don't know that you accomplished anything.
No, you're just swimming around. I mean, there was something to do, but we never even got close to the end on that one.
Yeah.
Of course, Nintendo wasn't all that easy either, because
They
I mean,
put the
even
work on
games
you.
as simple as Paperboy would
And as I
wreck
mentioned,
your
like this
world.
whole like saving your progress, like that wasn't real.
That didn't happen.
That didn't
So
exist.
unless you were willing to give it like 12 hours
Yeah.
to make it through, and or you had the up, up, down, down, left, left, right, right, whatever, all
Yeah.
that stuff from Contra, it was impossible unless you had a code. But it was a great game, but you needed all those lives and restart over and over and over again.
Unless you were my little brother Kevin, who beat
Who could
video games,
beat any
beat Mario when he was 5 when we first got it. I don't know that I've beat it without cheating yet. So
Yeah.
But
So
Ben, I appreciate you jumping on.
well, I was going to ask you what's your favorite game of all time, Travis? Because you've played way more than I have. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite?
It's hard to beat equity that you've put in, and certainly fellowship equity. It's hard to beat when you used to call me on the phone and I would play Bill Walsh college football 92. You'd call the plays on offense and I would run them, and then I'd play the defensive side. And that defense was pretty amazing. So
yeah, that was a fun one. Of course, Tecmo Bowl kind of right along with it, but I have a hard time. I have a real I guess it's a nostalgia around. I hadn't played it in a while, but around Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh yeah,
like that was one of my favorites of all time, just because there was so much you could do. There were so many different routes. There were so many little cool things, and I guess it was one of the first games that really sort of felt 3D. I guess it wasn't really 3D, but it felt like there was just a lot more options than just the original Mario. You had to just run through. This one you could kind of go back.
Ninja Turtles in Time was like the first game that I was like, I'm gonna stay up all night and play this until my parents come in and tell me to stop. And you could throw the foot soldiers at the screen on that one, and they would hit the TV screen and slide down. It's good stuff, man.
That is good stuff.
Well, appreciate you, Ben, for being a good Samaritan and jumping on the podcast late at night, even though we're both tired and I'm ready to go look at my eyelids.
Same.
Or the inside of my eyelids. But everybody out there, have a great week and celebrate Good Samaritan Day on March the 13th or before. Why not?
Sounds like a good one. See ya.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.